We have a very tight-knit group of superintendents that are very helpful. I have a great list of superintendents that if I have a problem, I can pick up the phone and call, and they will always answer.
That's so great. It's so
yes.
great, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that. I've interviewed other superintendents in Texas, and the same thing. They all say, we've got a group of superintendents that really support each other and are there for each other, and it's great. I mean, you just need that, really, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have, like I said, we've got a lot of great resources and it's basically a mixed bag. You decide which resources you're going to pull from today and move on. I'm blessed with a very good school board, and that's not something that every district every superintendent can say. I have great leaders that are serving on that board. They care about kids. They care about our staff. And generally, if those are the first two things that you can say about a school board, we're headed the right direction.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Chris Whorton. Chris is the superintendent at Mildred ISD in Corsicana, Texas. Chris, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So tell us, Chris, we talked a little bit before. You've got lots of really cool things going on. Tell us about what's going on in your world.
Well, just started out our new year, and I know this podcast will probably be posted later on in the year, but we just started our new year, and we've got a lot of great things.
What is it? August 28th? August 28th.
Yes,
there we go.
August 28th today.
So it's on there. There you go.
Yes, we've got a lot of great things going on. We're a small school, but we try to do a lot of things to meet the needs of all of our students. This year we have, I know a few new coaches, if you will, in our girls programs, and our girls coaches are doing a fantastic job. Our volleyball team is rolling. Of course, our cross country football games start this week, and we're very excited about that as well.
Yeah. High school football games are just the best. I love them.
Absolutely. Well, if you talk about Texas, you can't talk about Texas without talking about football. And
right.
We're excited about getting things going with that. We have our first pep rally today, so we're just moving right along. Other things like our band program's doing well. Our cheer organization, they're doing great. They're all headed the right directions, and so being relatively new in this role and here in Mildred, I've been here about 15 months or so. Mm-hmm. It's been nice to make it through a year, and then this year we feel like we're able to make those adjustments to do what's right for our kids and our staff members as well.
That first year for superintendents, talk to me a little bit about that, because I know there are people that are striving to be superintendents, but there's an adjustment period I've heard that from almost every superintendent I've talked to. So I'd love for you to give us a little insight on what that's like.
Sure. The best description of it is that we drink from a fire hose, the entire first year. And I will say, and I said 15 months, actually, it just shows how fast time moves. I'm actually 17 months in now. And I still feel like I'm drinking through a fire hose after this last legislative session, that we dealt with. And, I'm in a good area. We're in Region 12, and our Education Service Center is fantastic. They have a great support system. For the superintendents, both the veteran and the new superintendents. Thankfully went to a meeting yesterday, and they do a really good job of making sure we're up to date on new laws, new regulations, and helping us stay compliant. There's so many emails that we get. That's actually a shocker. The number of emails you start getting as superintendent. I thought it was bad as a principal. I received about 50 emails a day from unrelated things, emails from vendors and things like that. And as a superintendent, that doubled. And so I get about 100 emails per day. And if I'm unable to get to my inbox, it fills up very quickly. And so that was another surprise. I thought as a principal, I got everything I was going to get, and that's just not true as a superintendent. So, as far as, what the transition's like, my pathway was kind of unique. I tell people I'm a recovering band director. I was there's not many of us in administration. And I was in a small school district and had other administrators administrators that wanted to help coach me and put me in positions to grow into the role. And I was lucky enough to be able to be an assistant principal and a band director at the same time, and then move into a principal job. And then from that, I told him, I said, I can't be the head band director and the principal at the same time. And
Yeah, that's a little too much, right? Yeah,
it
I get
was.
it. Yeah.
And I had a great assistant director that we were able to pretty much switch positions. That they were, our district had been recovering from some financial issues, and this is not the district I'm at now, but we had some financial issues due to the major cuts that were made around 2009, 2010 in Texas. And my district really, really suffered from that. And we were just having to wear a lot of hats just to get things done and take care of kids. So it worked out to my advantage at the time. Became a high school principal, did that for 6 years in another district. And then got a chance to work the second largest district in Texas for about 18 months in their business office before getting this position. So,
Wow.
I had a lot of unique experiences to getting there. I've been certified to be a superintendent since 2015. Knew that's where I wanted to go, and made sure I took every opportunity I could to learn.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's never enough until you start doing it. And,
Yeah.
I will, extend, what I said about the Region Center to my, colleagues in the county, Navarro County and even some of the surrounding counties. We have, a very tight knit group of superintendents that are very helpful. I have a great list of superintendents that if I have a problem, I can pick up the phone and call, and they will always answer.
That's
And
so
so,
great. It's so
yes,
great, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I've noticed that. I've interviewed other superintendents in Texas, and the same thing. They all say, we've got a group of superintendents that really support each other and are there for each other, and it's great. I mean, you just need that, really, for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, we've got a lot of great resources, and it's basically a mixed bag. You decide which resources you're going to pull from today, and move on. I'm blessed with a very good school board, and that's not something that every superintendent can say. I have great leaders that are serving on that board. They care about kids. They care about our staff.
Good.
And generally, if those are the first two things that you can say about a school board, we're headed the right direction.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So, what else? I know you do a lot of things to support your staff. Can you give us some insight into how you're supporting your staff?
Sure. I want to talk about the school board first because
Oh, sure,
they have,
sure. I didn't mean to
yeah.
preempt you. Go right
Oh,
ahead.
no, no, no,
No,
no.
no, no. You're
Actually,
fine.
it's one of the ways that we talk about, how we support staff. Again, they do care about our staff. And here a couple of years ago, they made the unpopular decision in a lot of places to go to a 4-day week.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mildred is one of the 4-day week schools, and it has really helped with our retention of teachers. We don't typically have teachers leave our district in large numbers. It's rare that we, for example, our elementary school, we've got approximately 50 employees in that part of I say 50, between 40 and 50
Mm-hmm.
in that building, and of that we replaced a paraprofessional this year. We
Wow.
had an administrator retire, and so we moved up another administrator, and we hired
Wow.
an
That's
assistant principal from
impressive.
within. And so,
Yeah.
when you can say things like that, there's some things that are going well. You mentioned that we're in Corsicana. We're actually on the southern edge of Corsicana, and Corsicana ISD, which is the largest school district in the county, they typically can pay their teachers 10,000 plus more than we can.
Mm.
And so that's what we're competing against. And,
Yeah.
my business manager and I and our school board as well, our goal is to pay our employees as much as we possibly can afford to do. But we still can't compete with some of those, that 10,000 per teacher. That's a lot of
That's a
money
lot of
for.
money. Yeah. It's a lot of money.
And so,
Yeah.
money is a lot. People want to pay bills, but it's not everything.
It
And
isn't. Yeah.
so we have to be creative and looking for ways to take care of our people. And so that 4-day
Mhm.
week certainly did that. It does that. I think now our families are on board with that. Our kids love it. Our kids really love it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And
Is it
uh,
Fridays off or Mondays off?
we choose Fridays off, and everybody says, well, why don't you take off Monday? And for us, we we've done some soul searching, and really Friday works better for us because if you take off Monday, there are additional academic consequences for that, as well as it limits your extracurricular activities,
Oh,
and
okay.
specifically in your junior high, on the junior high level. Junior high, typically the main practices are Monday through Thursday anyway. Fridays for varsity sports, and
Right.
typically it's a different type of workout on a Friday. And so if we took off Monday, it would be difficult to get students up to school to participate in
Oh, true.
junior high
Yeah.
athletics. We had to consider
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah,
then, of
they'll
course,
come to the game on Friday, right? They'll definitely come to the games on Friday,
yeah.
but yeah, I see that. That definitely makes
Uh,
sense for sure.
And the academic consequences, most people who've been in high school know that you get to about 2 o'clock on a Friday, and quite frequently you've got a varsity team hitting the road to go to
Leaving.
play a
Yeah.
game somewhere, whether it be
Hmm.
volleyball or football or basketball or baseball or softball when you get to that. So,
Hmm.
for us, we just realized it works better. We're able to very much intensely focus on our academics 4 days a week, and our test scores have either maintained or improved. So academically, it hasn't had been a detriment on our district. And so
Fantastic.
the negative to that is really the state. I say the state, the legislature has chosen not to limit the 4-day weeks. However, there's been some moves by TEA that's made things a little bit more challenging for us. But to that point, as a district, we found ways to make it work, and that's probably the biggest thing we've done. The other thing that we do for staff is, they get to wear jeans all day, every day, and for teachers, little things like getting to wear jeans, that's a big deal to them,
Hmm.
and so.
It's comfortable. Yeah.
And ultimately, the other side of that is there's an open door to my office. There's an open door to my other administrators' offices, and our big goal is to listen to them and to try to understand that as administrators, we can't do everything, and we need our teachers and our paraprofessionals and the rest of our staff to do our jobs. And we never shy away from having that difficult conversation, even when
Hmm.
I may have a cafeteria worker or custodian tell me they don't like a decision I made. I'm open to hearing that, and that's a big
Right.
part of making your staff happy.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So how does it work with because I've heard quite a bit about 4-day counts, but I seem to be asking you the tough questions today. I don't know why that is, but there you go. So how do you get the number of days in? Do you have to do more weeks, or is it longer? I don't know how that works. How do you
Sure.
manage a 4-day?
So in Texas, they quit. Back in the good old days, you had to go to school 180 days.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then you had 7 days that could be in-service work days and things like that for your teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, I don't want to, forgive me for not knowing the exact time, but it's been about 10 years, since they met and changed the days we went from days to minutes. And
Oh,
so,
okay.
now, we're required to provide 75,600 minutes of instruction to our students. And the
Okay.
law doesn't define how that happens or when that happens. We are a district of innovation. There are some laws in the books that we are able to get passed as a district of innovation. For example, there's a law in the books that talks about when your first day of school can be in August. And if I'm not mistaken, it's been so long since I've been a district that actually followed that. I think it's like you can't start school until after the fourth Monday of August or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so every district of innovation has that I'm aware of has opted out of that law so that they can start school
Start soon.
when their
Yeah.
community believes that it's the best fit for us.
Right. Right. That's really interesting. I wasn't aware that it had that was how it's interesting. It's like I've talked to people all over the United States on this podcast. I told you you're like 101 for me. So
Mhm.
you got the 101 Dalmatians, whatever, right?
I love My wife will be happy about
There
that.
you
She loves
go.
Disney.
Yeah. And but it's just, every state has their own rules and regulations, and then you have the federal rules and regulations on top of those. And it's I don't know, it's just how you navigate all of that and stay on top of it. And I know districts have to have lawyers. Actually, I was at Region 2 last week, I don't know if you know this gentleman, John Muniz. He works with one of the big firms in Texas that represents schools, and I wish I knew the name of it. I would plug him right now because he's fantastic,
Sure.
and I should know the name. So forgive me, John, if you hear this and don't, and maybe I'll have them put it on the screen or something. I don't know. But he was talking about the new laws when it comes to cell phones and educating the sped directors about cell phones and all of that. And it was like, oh, you guys have a hard job keeping up with all of those regulations. And then they put new regulations on top of it. I just don't know how you do it.
Well, I can tell you that it's been difficult this year. I will say that, um, I've typically followed legislative sessions quite closely in the past, even long before I became an administrator. It's always been important to me because I knew, in Texas we have a part-time legislature that meets every 2 years, and it's been something that I've always been fascinated with. So I've always kept up
Mm-hmm.
with it. And in one of our superintendent meetings, I asked a question. I am new, and I asked the other superintendents, what what advice can you give me as a new superintendent to make sure that I'm compliant with all the new rules and regulations that's been passed through the 89th legislature that just closed up.
Mm-hmm.
And they looked at me and said, Chris, none of us have been through a legislative session like this. And
Ah,
there were superintendents in the room that have been been in the job for over 20 years. And they just told me this has been probably the most impactful legislative session that they've seen in their career. And certainly that's the way it looks to me as well. And so there's a lot of moving parts. Of course, my favorite is there's a lot of moving parts, and then when it gets out to publicizing to the public what's going on, there's always a missing puzzle piece that's things are construed one way, and that's not necessarily accurate when you start digging into the law of how
into
that.
the law itself, right? Yeah,
Yes,
that's what he was showing
yes,
too when I was at that seminar that he was doing, and it was like, ooh, and the laws are not necessarily for or against the kids. You just have to follow them to the best of your ability. And he's talking about all of that, and it's not. Ooh, it's everybody has their own. It's just like IDA and how you implement IDAA. It's like you go to any state, it's different. Texas, we call them ARDs, ARDs, right?
yes,
You don't call them ARDs. There might be, I think, maybe one other state that calls it ARDS. Everybody else, it's an IEP. And that is a unique thing to
mhm,
Texas and something that Texas has embraced and had. And I don't know how long it's been that way, but it's just really interesting. And the rules and 60 days and this and that and what one state or one district will interpret and how somebody else interpret it. It's really interesting because sometimes the laws aren't like there's room for adjustments, right?
yes, yes. Sometimes there's too much room. Sometimes there's some. As administrators, we generally like gray, and I say like gray. That's sometimes true, sometimes not true,
Right.
depends on the situation. Sometimes we
Depending
want
on
black
what it
and
is,
white.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
But some of the gray that's left in the laws, sometimes it's the unintended consequences that come
Mm-hmm.
from the gray, and it's we do have to seek legal counsel for a lot of different things. Again, especially this session, because there's so much thrown at us, and I'm not aware of a single superintendent that doesn't want to be compliant with the law. It's just so much. Trying to be compliant is very difficult.
We all feel it. Students are struggling more than ever with emotional and behavioral challenges. Lighthouse Therapy offers virtual, hybrid, and in-person behavioral and mental health support that builds around your school environment. Our licensed professionals are trauma-informed, experienced, and trained to work with K-12 students and staff. You don't get a cookie-cutter approach. You get a partner who listens, adapts, and builds trust. Because when students feel safe and seen, they thrive. Learn how you can get support at your school at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you have lawyers and that's why you have
Yes.
advisors and all of that. And yeah, there's no way you can I know I've seen where they've talked about people who read the bills in Congress and they're like that 2,000, 6,000, whatever pages. And they have these amazing people that go and read through the whole thing. It's like, oh, I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
It's pretty impressive to watch for sure.
Yeah. And I've heard in real estate too, like you can be compliant, but every time you're compliant with one law, you're breaking another one. So it's like there's no winning. It's like it's set up in such a way that it's like you can't be 100% compliant with absolutely everything that there is. So you pick a path and that's the path you take and you have good lawyers, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have one other question I want to ask you. And if I want to make sure I've given you ample time we've talked about lots of different things. I want to make sure that you didn't want any other topics brought up before I ask my last question. So I'll give you that first.
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So my last question, and if you've watched any of my podcasts, most of them are there, but, and you can't say money because everybody needs more money. And we know that. Absolutely. But if you could miraculously change one thing in your district, in your world that relates to your job and what you do, what would it be? It's just gone. You fixed it.
Really, when I look at one change I'd like to make, I think from a global standpoint, because I have the ability to change most things within the district setting in my role. And so, it would not be fair for me to fuss about something that I have the power
that you have the ability to fix, right? Yeah, I get that.
So, looking at it and I say global, more of a state view, if I could change anything, it would be, having the legislature get together and find a way to engage better with us as superintendents, so that when we're writing new laws, we can sit down and talk about consequences, the if-thens, quite frankly, because I don't think some of them understand actually what happens once we close the door. I do 100% believe that 100% of our legislatures want to do good.
Yeah.
They want to do right. I try very, very hard to see the good in everything that they're doing. I believe that I have to believe that just for my own well-being that they have the best intentions.
Right.
But if I could change anything, it would be that there was a requirement or they passed a law for themselves that said that before we pass an education law that we sit down with a good representation of the superintendents in Texas so that we can talk out the consequences. Because the reality of it is, in Texas, out of 1,200 school districts, about 800 of us are rural districts. We're not the mega districts that you hear all the horror stories from. And even then, I've worked in the large district, and I know the people are there trying to do what's right for their kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in Texas, we have an elected school board, and we have the independent school district attached to our names. It's supposed to mean independence. We are, Texas is inherently an independent state with a lot of a lot of individuals that believe in freedom. And to that point, sometimes we get fixated on a problem over in one school or one district or maybe two or three large districts. And they make decisions to fix those problems.
Just based on that one. I get you. I hear you. Yeah.
So.
And it doesn't translate. It doesn't translate.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I get that. And you've also, when we talked before, you've actually been a witness or spoken in Congress or
yes,
tell us a little bit of legislature.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I wasn't invited. I invited myself, and in Texas,
there you go. Good for you.
In Texas, you have the ability to attend a committee meeting and testify. You're limited to 2 minutes. And a neighboring superintendent and I, when they were releasing House Bill 2, the House version was really good, and we all liked it. And I say we all. The rural districts really liked it. There was something called a small school allotment in there. It was going to be very impactful to our school finances and give us the ability to do some special things with our staff and our kids and our school districts. We got wind that there were some leaks coming out of the Senate version of this House bill. And he and I felt compelled to go down there and speak on behalf of our districts as well as other small districts on behalf of the small districts in the state. And that was I'll be honest, I'm not much of a public speaker. That's believe it or not, in this role, that's not why I got here. I feel like I'm here because I was called to do it.
Right. Absolutely. I hear you.
And so, sometimes you don't choose the job chooses you, and that's where I'm at.
And you're doing great, by the way. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. But we had 2 minutes to testify. I feel like I was able to get my point across. There were some positives that came out of it in the long run. Not everything I wanted happened. Of course, I didn't expect that, but at least I felt like I was heard. And that's always important. It's one of those conversations I want to continue, but it was a unique experience, and I was happy to do it, and plan on doing it again when the opportunity presents itself.
Well, and the kids need the state needs people like you. The kids need people like you. The small districts need people like you, because and that's why Brighter Together exists too. It's like I'm grateful to be able to do this, and this, we spend money on this, and we give. I don't know if everybody knows this about the Brighter Together podcast, because I don't even think I've ever said it publicly. We give absolutely everything from this podcast, even though we promote it and we distribute it. We give it back to the districts. Every single district gets an audio file, a video file. They get reels, shorts, and social media posts, and we give that back to the districts because we want you guys to be able to use it in any way, and so we don't copyright it. And so it is definitely something that the same kind of thing. We're just trying to, from our corner of the world and our influence, have a way to shine a light on the things that are happening in the United States. And I'm Texas, so I love Texas. So I'm always happy to see what's happening to Texas. I've got another Texas today and a Minnesota, and I have a Michigan, and I've been lots of different places with lots of different people and lots of different topics. But it matters. All of it matters. Because, again, we're called Brighter Together because we're brighter together, right? We do it together. So kudos to you for your willingness to step into something that's not comfortable, and do it obviously very well. So congratulations on that. And I appreciate you, and I applaud you.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate the service you're providing to us as well.
Good. I'm glad. All right. Well, where, Chris, should people go if they want to learn more about Mildred ISD and Chris Whorton?
Well, our website's generally the best place. Hopefully by the time this podcast is released, we'll have a better one than we have today. But
awesome.
Our website's the best one. It's www.mildredisd.org. And my email is listed in there. So if there's ever anybody that I can help, doesn't matter where you are. I am a Louisiana transplant. So I've been out of Texas before. I got here as fast as I could. So if anybody ever needs anything, I'm happy to help them any way I possibly can.
I love that, because I was born and raised in Nebraska, and we raised our kids in Michigan, and I'm in Texas now. I've been in Texas for 3 years. Love it here. Loved Michigan when I was there. It just got too cold for my old bones. Great friends up there. That was the hardest part, leaving my friends, but the sun was calling and I must go.
I don't know. This is August. I think I'd rather be in Michigan right now than during August.
Yeah. No, I love the heat. And we live in Corpus, so it's hot. My husband has the air on, and, I said, you froze me for 19 years. Now I get to burn you up for 19 more.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we've been married for 30 years, so I'm grateful. But I love Texas, and my dad and my sister and my brother, and my other brother's widow, they all lived in Texas before me. So, when we were trying to do the snowbirds. I tell people we're failed snowbirds. We came down and we just never left. So don't go away, right? We didn't go away.
Sure.
So, because we were so welcomed, we have been so incredibly welcomed here, and I just love it. So, and Corpus is a beautiful place, I have to say. I've never lived in a place where there was, tourists, and we live on Padre Island. So, we get tourists, and you have to, there's one major bridge that you get to the island from, and on Memorial Day and Labor Day and 4th of July, you just either are off island or you're on island. You do not try to do them both, because you will be in traffic. So, it's just an interesting, but I love Texas. I've been so pleased to be here, and it's just been such a blessing. So thanks again, Chris. That was, way out on a tangent there, but, I love the fact that you also are transplanted from another state and have found Texas to be your home as well. So, Texas is greater for it. For sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Yep. All right. Take care. And it'll probably be a couple months. So we'll see. Hopefully you'll be hearing this in October about. Okay.
All right. Fantastic. Have a great day.
You too.